This video is sponsored by Scispot.
Thank you so much, Nathan, for doing this interview with me. We would love to start with your story and a quick introduction.
Well, it's a bit a long story. I'm Nathan Katz. I'm CEO of Jointhechlabs. It's a biotech and medical device company.
I wanna go deep, talking about your journey. Like, how did you created the team? How did you find a co-founder? How did you manage to raise funds initially?
My personal story is I'm living, I would say, probably the third life circle, if no more, because I started from studying general medicine in med school and ended up in a very excited field at that time. I'm talking about 30 years ago, which was fertility. And at that time, fertility was very futuristic, like barely anyone, like it's just infancy of the industry. And I was lucky, I got fascinated. And actually, instead of taking the standard path of the medicine practicing, I turn into this one. I always something that excited me. I always like uh, being able to change your path
Mm-hmm.
or being flexible makes your life more fulfilling, more exciting, I think. So many of my colleagues, friends just took the general path. They happy and it's fine. But I
Right.
took this path of fertility and I became a embryologist, and at that time it was like like rocket science. So went through the all this path of development of this industry of embryology and fertility. I'm talking about clinical fertility.
The startup clinic.
No, it was literally it's in the clinic. It was in the hospital, working in the hospital, but um, all these instruments, the media, the that today you're buying like right off the shelf, all these tools, needles, like everything, the media, the culture media for everything is ready. At that time, there was nothing. Everything
Right.
was handmade. And so I decided to take more scientific path. So I went study PhD for fertility uh, and genetics, because
Mm-hmm.
the genetics also very it's very significant part of this fertility field. So why I'm telling that, because that all took me to this fascinating field when in 1997 in Madison University in Wisconsin um, was published the embryonic stem cells. Like
Right.
we discover that embryonic stem cells can be isolated, cultured, and there was a lot of hype around this. So in Chicago, there was private institution. It's called RGI, Reproductive Genetic Institute, completely private. And the founder was Genius Genetic. He
Mm-hmm.
originally was from Ukraine, and but it's like a mad professor in the movie. So this is the type of person he was, like very inspiring, um uh, very well educated, a lot of not just the knowledge, but he was pushing all the stuff and everyone around him towards like go discover, find, explore, and it was really inspiring. So it was he was my like I would consider beside my mentor in the university, my PhD. So he was my life mentor, I would say, in the and it was private setup. So I learned a lot of how running the business and research in a private setting. So it was, and the beauty was that we did both. And I joined this institution. He invited me. He found me somehow because at that point I already gained my reputation, one of the first embryologists in the world. We were like the small cohort, maybe 2,000 of people in the entire world in 90s, I'm talking, dealing with embryology and working on regulations and all this industry.
And this is
So
after your PhD?
it was just I started PhD. Yeah, I started PhD. I didn't finish yet PhD. I still was in PhD, but I never disconnected from clinic. Even during my PhD, I was still sharing my PhD study with the clinical work as embryologist.
I see.
And that's why it took me a little bit longer. Normally, like it would say 4 or 5 years. I spent like 6 years on PhD study because I never disconnected from the clinic. So in this institution was very fascinating. Um, uh, he invited me to join the team, and eventually I was on and off sharing my PhD study with. Didn't work, but I was visiting this institution, learning what they do, and learn a lot about the stem cells.
Mm-hmm.
So when I finished, completed my PhD, graduated, I joined the institution full time and became I became involved very deeply in the stem cells research alongside of the clinical work. So it became like really my part of my daily job, and I learned a lot. I would say at that time I couldn't pronounce the stem cells probably even in the right way because it was so new. But we've been trying in the lab. We were playing with the stem cells, embryonic stem cells, and we realized really fast that despite the great potential of those cells and everything that stem cells can do, the on the mouse model and the animal models that we tried, there was a lot of teratomas. We couldn't control the growth, so it became very challenging. So we realized at some point, even though we developed a lot of interesting, very interesting stem cells line that you can freeze and store, and that became as a pattern on the model to testing some drugs, particularly because it was a reproductive genetic institute. So we had these cells with different genetic pathologies,
Mm-hmm.
which quite unique, which
Mm-hmm.
again for pharma, for drug developers, it poses very interesting biological material to test different drug. But my passion was always, that's why I'm saying that during study in the beginning, I never disconnected from clinic. I always was in the focus how we take this and we bring it to the clinic, how we translate something from the bench, from the science into practical medicine. So, and when we hit the wall, knowing that probably uh, embryonic stem cells won't go anywhere anytime soon, from both medical, scientific, and regulatory. So, and well, and I start looking around like, okay, so we have all this knowledge. We have, I have my background, clinical background, I have my PhD, medical background. I know how to deal with embryonic stem cells. I understand that we need to look for the different path, but
Mm-hmm.
somehow to leverage the cell, to harness the cell capacity, stem cells capacities towards the healing of the human body as in terms of like biological drug or source of the healing um, potential. So in that I came across a bright scientist from UCLA. She published something that blew my mind. That
Mm-hmm.
actually human fat, the fat most of the people have, no matter what your body shape, but we all have fat.
In
And this fat,
abundance.
pardon me?
I'm saying in abundance, most people, right?
Yeah, most of the people, yes. Fortunately and unfortunately, it's another story. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But the human fat has a lot. I mean, it's abundance of the stem cells that not exactly like embryonic stem cells. but they also can be developed into different pathways, different tissues, and they behave very similar way
This
like
video is sponsored by
embryonic
Scispot.
stem cells, but they from adult body, not from the embryos.
Where
So
are
they
they
have,
stored?
pardon me?
Where are they stored? Like bone marrow or any
No,
specific?
fat, human fat. So when it was discovered and we start learning, it was very funny stories around that because we didn't know how to deal with fat. So we were chasing after the plastic surgeons actually, because they have the access to the human fat. They do routinely liposuctions. So we were we signed, so we developed some IRB, which is ethical committee, so like the research, so we can source the fat from the donated fat from the clinics, and we can start research. And that's what we started. We started research on fat. That was exactly the company that we set up at that time, because
Okay.
we'll, first of all, we started learning how get the cells out. First of
Yeah.
all, how digest it, how harvest it. And we started to think about that. At that point, I said, okay, this is the time I need to set up the company. We need to set up the company, start learning how to deal with this tissue. It was my first engagement with pharmaceutical industry because it became known, because it was published and became more and more awareness grew up like quite substantial at that time since publication of the first study about adipose stem cells. And we engaged with Roche Therapeutics
Hmm.
that was developing enzymes at that time to digest adipose tissue. That was the first time I set up the company. We at that time, and you know, this is the story that I didn't know actually. We setting up the company, but you know, we I didn't have entrepreneurial background in the terms of the classical biotech company.
Hmm.
So I work in my life. I was leveraging my knowledge in the embryology. I was setting up some laboratories, developing business, clinical businesses, but it's different. It's completely different mindset. Setting up the biotech startup versus some clinical businesses or like medical shops, let's say. It's totally different. So we said, okay, let's do. I was my actually my co-founder at that time was my schoolmate guy from Bay Area who had good background, some in high tech.
Hmm.
So he helped me a little bit because at that time I didn't know the terminology, the fundraising, the all the stages, development. I just knew scientific part of it, the concept, the idea that we have a cells in our body. We need to harness those cells and develop the technology that we can use these cells for the healing in some different application. One of the application, my primary focus was because my mom was suffering a lot from osteoarthritis at that time. She was about just a knee replacement. And I thought like, I mean, if that's something we can leverage stem cells for this purpose, like maybe, let's see how it can work. And then, yeah, there are a couple doctors in the world. I start realizing that working in parallel on the same concept. Then FDA step in at that time, like what people doing with this type of cells, and all the question about regulations started popping up, which we didn't know yet exactly at that point how it's gonna work out. So that's what I'm saying. When I set up the company, there was no clear path. It was just the idea that we need to develop something that can help people to target. At that time, we said osteoarthritis. That's what we need to find. How we fix the uh, joints.
Right.
And that's it. From this point, there was a long way to develop actually from the virtual concept into actually mature company with the team, the idea, the money, and and the journey has started. So you understand, my medical school, the scientist, the genetic and stem cell, and then suddenly I'm becoming CEO of the company, the founder of Biotech company, which is the goal is, you put your money to start the company, some little money, okay,
Right.
as a founder. But next, you need to investments, and you're talking to the people. You start developing all your skills as entrepreneur in the biotech industry. So, in short term, the idea was what we learn in the lab, and if we know how to harvest the cells, and we can translate this somehow from the lab to the clinic and start collecting data because we know it's safe, and see if it works on human, how much we can mitigate pain in osteoarthritis, for how long it's going to last, how much we need to inject. So, and that's actually was the main goal, to develop something, a device that you can work with this device in clinical environment, instead of building the laboratories, and instead of putting all this, building laboratory, it's okay, but it's compliance with regulations, it's very expensive, and if you do this for clinic, for hospitals, it may take years, if not decades, to get to this point. So my idea was to do something that every doctor, at that time, people was laughing at me. I said, you see this blood pressure device on the table? I want my device work the same way. Simple. So you can simple take the fat, a little sample of the fat, put in this device, get out these cells that harvest the cells out of fat, and just make injection on the spot.
Yeah.
Instead of buying all the equipment, incubators, employing PhD students and postdocs, and building all this pharmaceutical grade production, I want something, first of all, that's a short-term goal. Let's start from this and then see how it works. And that's what we did. That's exactly what we did. So we built this device. I designed this device. It was this like in the movie. I took some the bags from the IV bags in the kitchen, sewed them together. Like said, okay, this is the one compartment. This is another compartment. Here we put the fat. Here we put the another component. From here we're getting out. Let's see how we connect, how we lock it up. So it was very funny. I still have a picture of those. Of those IV bags sewed together on my countertop in the kitchen. And
Yeah.
then the journey started with the design, engineering, production, FDA clearance, all the paths that actually at that point, the real startup medical device, biotechnology development started. And then when I start going through my another round of my life cycle, learning the business, not just being excited by the science and the matter of fact that probably adipose fat is good for much more than we think about or can imagine about, but to the real life of the company, building the company, and all the journey actually has started at that point.
So once you realized there's something valuable here, like how did you go about it? Did you find a co-founder? Did you find mentors, investors? So can you double click on your journey from like once the technology, you had some idea about the technology product, what did you do next and what were the challenges you faced?
Yeah, so I was lucky because my first of all, my classmate, the guy that was with high tech background, who helped me with learning the terminology, the stages of building the company, actually the startup company. Even though at that time I thought it's going to be much faster, real life it's much harsher, to be honest. So, and then I came across another very smart, bright guy. It was back in Chicago, um, who he was originally from India and learned just graduated master degree in Russian University in Chicago. And his wife, she was my first hire in the lab when we start playing with the fat in the lab. And then so she introduced me to him, and apparently he became my third co-founder, and that's how we started building the team. And when you build the company, first challenge, it's of course you need to have this communication skill, how you work with the people. You need to start learn it's not it's kind of friendship. It's startup environment. It's different. It's not corporate life. It's very different than corporate life, but everyone has assignment, everyone. So you need start you start talking different language with the people because you have a goal. And then you need to mentorship is probably one of the first step. At that time I relied on the knowledge, scientific knowledge, but in the business, you really, really need a good mentor. So we were not lucky to find the mentorship very fast, but eventually it took a couple years to get to the point when we managed to find a good mentor. And those mentors were from the accelerator in the Bay Area, who look at this company, look at the development, they like the idea.
Which
Uh,
accelerator?
it's in the bio. It was in
I
the
see.
bio in San Francisco. So they, and we were based in Chicago, and
Yeah,
then in Bay Area, and it was like a little bit weird, but there's the biotech conference. JP Morgan just now finished the one
right.
in San Francisco, so went there, we met them, we explained what we're doing. And yeah, it took not long time. They said, like, guys, what you're doing is fascinating, so we get through. And it was the best experience probably in all this journey that since inception of the company, because we got so much. It was like the powerhouse of mentorship.
So you had to go
Everything.
there. Did you have to
Yes,
relocate there?
yes, yes, yes. We relocated for period of time for 6 months. It was 6 months incubator, then stay. Then I came back to Chicago. My partner remained there, and then his name Nishit Pancholi. So his kids were before school, so he like said, okay, now I'm moving. I'm going there because we need to be around these people. So he took the family from Chicago, relocated for to be around in Dubai at that time.
So
And
what value Indie Bio added, if you can share more? So you had to move there for 6 months. Did you get access to lab space? Did you get
absolutely.
access to mentors, more scientific mentors, or more mentors for commercialization, how to position the product and technology?
Exactly. It's yeah,
This
Antibio had
video is
the
sponsored
lab,
by
but at that
Scispot.
time, lab space, shared lab space wasn't for us particularly of value. It's mostly was to structure the company,
Okay,
how you structure the company, how you approach the fundraising, how you define your goals, how you build your team, what you need, what you do first, second, third, like strategizing your concept. So that's actually something like if I would be building today another company, so that's the asset.
right.
That this knowledge is the real asset, because you can be bright scientist, you can be even graduated um, I don't know, business school
Right.
graduate, but without this type of mentorship, it's impossible. You have to find, and you need to be lucky and look for mentorship first thing first,
I agree.
and before everything else. Because if you're going to raise funds without understanding how you're going to spend your first dollar from these funds, from the money that you take from other people, and you become responsible for this money, so you need to know what you do. And how do you know if you're right or wrong if you don't have this mentorship? So
I
that's
agree.
your real life business school.
No, I agree. I think generally scientists, even founders, are like full of ideas, right? They want to do everything under the sun. And how this mentorship help is with blunt feedback. I think best mentors ask tough questions, right? And they really, with unbiased feedback, they help you figure out what really matters. Otherwise, founders or scientists in general want to do everything, right? They get excited about the future, and um, so they try to boil the ocean, and that's not how you scale the business. So when we join Y Combinator, the biggest value, I mean, you get money, you get recognition, it's all great, but the biggest value you get is how to be more focused, right? Focus on one problem, focused on like some like making incremental progress, right? Rather than
100%.
trying to do everything all at once and then struggle with product market fit.
100%. 100%. That absolutely that. Absolutely. And I tell you what else? The being flexible and learning. Because
That's
for
true.
example, take me, I'm not the out of school. Okay. I had PhD, I went through the some life experience learning, and I have some luggage, I have something on my belt.
Right.
And then you're going into this, and then someone saying you, your slides, man, sucks. It just and now when I understood, what, I spent so much time, that's amazing. And now I'm looking at those slides at that time, my deck, I said, oh my god, oh my god. So that's the point, and being able to accept the critics, being able to actually just put your ego somewhere far away,
100%.
far away. Just listen, learn, listen, learn, and again,
Yeah,
listen, and again, learn. Like whatever you know, whatever you thought, just put it somewhere in the storage. Now
100%.
you just listen and learn, and again and again and again. And in a way, when you're building the company, what I learned, like you have an opinion, right? Your partner may have an opinion, and then an investor comes and has an opinion. This being stubborn, it's good in like in general, it's okay,
Right.
it's good. But being stupidly stubborn, that's bad. So to develop the skill to listen and learn, adapt, and being critical to yourself, I think that's the key. Majority of the companies, majority, and I know many companies, even those we were sitting in IndieBio next to us,
Right.
um, probably 90% of the companies failing, uh, and not because the idea is not good. So probably it's lack of stamina, lack of being flexible in fitting you in something that business would be probably look better or more reliable or fit the current need. Yes, if you have something but nobody needs it, like
Yeah.
I mean, your device could be amazing, your idea could be perfect, your drug could be amazing, but if people kind of looking at this like something that, well, I don't know if I need it. Well,
Yeah.
there's some product like Apple came in with the product that you didn't know that you needed,
That's
right?
true.
That's what they came with. So yeah, there. But again, I think the openness, being open-minded, and learning how to talk to people, listen to people. It's something that you're developing. You have either develop or you have it naturally, but I think for me it was very important to survive and build the company. It's precisely that, to
100%.
fit yourself in the reality and learn from the many people around. And I don't have business school, but now I understand how business is structured. My daughter, she's in business school. And we're talking, and she's like, "How do you know that? How you know this?" "Yeah, I just learned it." That's she's a master degree, and like, "Oh, really? You know this stuff?" And and you're learning. Oh, in my 50s, I'm learning. I'm still learning, and I will keep learning.
Right.
It's learning every day. I think it's the core. It's absolutely the core. If you don't know something, go learn. Don't be shy.
100%. I think I I agree with all of that you said, right? One thing is pride of ownership or attachment with your ideas or solution never works, right? Too much pride of ownership or attachment with solutions. So flexibility is the key. So it's okay to be stubborn to solve the problem if the problem is really big enough. But solution has to change, right? Incrementally, you want to fail fast, try different things. And I learned this hard way. When I started the business, I tried to make everyone happy in our target market. But then I realized that you really need to focus, get market feedback rather than with solving every problem under the sun. You want to really focus on one problem and solve that problem, get market feedback as quickly as possible, and then incrementally evolve. But I think rigidity never works for founders. So I agree with you.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so, so flexibility, uh, getting rid of ego as much as possible along the way, and continuously learning. When you say, uh, like, what else you think are the core ingredients to make the business work?
Build the relationships with the people. Talk to people, and um, no matter at what stage you're successful, you're not successful, you struggling, um, like, don't be ignorant.
How
Don't
would you
be.
do that? How would you do that if someone is introvert? They don't like going to conferences. How would you do that? How would you build relationships? I'm talking from like perspective of founders. All the founders, I see they're working 15 hours, 18 hours a day, crazy hours, and building relationship when you say for fundraising or is it for sales? So, what are your thoughts about
Yes, look, that's interesting part actually. I never was in my life a salesperson.
it? Yeah,
Never. When I was in school and in graduate school, so in med school, I was selling a Coke on the on the fair, the country fair. I was selling. That's all my experience in my life to sell the beverages to in a hot day to the people. So
yeah.
how I make little my money in that time. Um, so but eventually you're getting to the point like you have a product, you need to start building your sales, you know, and then my colleagues, everyone says you sell better than anyone else because you know your product better than anyone else, right? And then you need to go out, and I'm as CEO of the company. I'm very much involved, particularly at the stage where we are, very much involved in communication with the doctors who are our customers. So on the way of building sales and marketing, I learned a lot of from this, right? And again, that's learning. So marketing and sales, you get to the point when you already have a product, beside the design, engineering, and the production and all the supply chain, which you're going through learning of this. So I'm talking today with the people. So reach out, how you talk, how you develop your narrative. Yes, they're professionals, they can help you. You're learning from them how to talk to people, how reach out to people. Don't be shy, reach out to people. Be respectful to these people. Listen to these people, what they want, get feedback from these people. And it's developing, developing, developing. So developing your communication skills, not just within your team, the people
Mhm.
know you, maybe you met professor, you like crazy, everyone knows you, like okay, they can suffer you, but the people outside, they don't know that you are crazy. So you need to know how to talk to them so they would be willing to listen to you, and that's both your customer and investor as well. And of course, when you passion about something, and they feel it, they feel confidence in what you're talking, and it's not just some, it's evidence-based information, the information and statements that you make, and you can stand behind those statements that produce some credibility, and
Right.
that's how people start listening to you. They won't listen to you and asking question, and you answer those questions. That's how you build the relationships with your customers, with your investors, and within your community, scientific community and the business community.
I agree. And it's also very much a numbers game, right? Everyone is not going to buy a product. Everyone is not going to like what you have to say
Yeah, don't
because,
get offended.
right?
That's
So
fine.
being shameless is probably the advice. So you knock every door, some doors will be open, and most doors will remain closed, which is all right. So,
Actually, to be honest, maybe it's a luck. It's opposite for me personally. I have more doors open than locked.
okay,
More people that willing to listen than not to.
right.
Um, and I don't know, maybe because it's the field, maybe it's because the product, maybe because
It
my accent, or I don't know. Well, but
it
actually,
also it also depends on the stage of your journey, right? As you are like higher up, more mature in your journey, then you have a bigger network of your people who understand what you are doing. But in early days, you're just coming out of your grad school, then more doors will be closed. But when you build the brand, you add value, you generate some social proof, then you're right. You have more, arguably more opportunity than you can even take advantage of.
yeah, just I think the sincerity. If you're sincere,
That's true.
if you what you're saying, if you're really passionate and sincere, people will listen to you.
Right. It's again brand building, right? So you add value, you deliver. That's how you build the
Yeah,
brand.
when you start, the brand is you. You
Right.
don't have product. Its brand is you, who you are as person, your background, like that's who you are. That's you by yourself is a brand. Of course, when you're developing the company and when you're developing the product, so it's evolved into a little bit different level of communication. Of course, it's becoming much more complex.
And based on your experience, we are wrapping up in a few minutes. But based on your experience in the stem cell or regenerative medicine industry, what type of startups can be created if someone has some background in stem cell research? They're listening to you, following you. What advice would you have? What type of businesses they can create that are tangential to your business?
It's not only stem cells. It's a lot of around this. There's biomaterials.
Hmm.
There's biochemistry. There are medical and the plastics, the devices made of plastics. It's engineering. It's bioengineering. Then biomaterials. The cells need the scaffolding technology, biopolymers. There's so many conjunction in conjunction with the actual biological material and the cellular cell therapies. So it's that's what I'm saying, even to people that the pre-med. Then we're going to be a doctor. And I said, just that's fine. And to be a doctor today, you need to be so well educated, not just about specifically anatomy or the drugs. And you need to be very, doctors will keep all the century. They will, maybe the doctors that graduating today will change their perception of medicine within next decade completely,
That's
because it's
true.
changing so rapidly. Robotics, biotherapeutics, cell therapies, gene therapies. Nothing of this has been taught in the school. Barely, maybe some just little bit crabs. So if you're talking about developing startups, everything that I mentioned, the material for, the scaffold material, the plastics for, the design engineering, what you're gonna do, the organ on chips. Now, like I'm talking to the company in Austria now, we did a study with the cartilage. It's explants, what's cadaver explants, how to learn the mechanism of action between the cells, and they have now on chip something that made on chip, so you don't need anymore, and you can learn much more. So this, they made the startup, developed the product, and by the way, they became a part of the IndieBio at some point. That's
Hmm.
how I found them. And we're now developing the new model how to test new therapies on this organ on chip model. So you understand, it's unlimited. It's so much can be created and made for eventually targeting the how to make the therapies and biological drugs beneficial towards the future healthcare system.
No, love it. And there are many hidden gems in the nature inside human body, in your case. And like I heard somewhere there are bacteriophage against every bacteria in the nature, but you have to find them. So it feels like in the nature we have things, a solution arguably to every problem, but locked, right? So you have to discover them and figure out how to leverage it to solve some problem, which is important to today's generation and future generation.
Yeah, I just learned today or yesterday. I just read the article. H. pylori, one of the major source for the cancer of the stomach. So it's hard now. You need to take the therapy, like very hard antibiotics to treat it, H. pylori, and now they found the bug actually in our guts,
Yeah,
but that you actually, if and some peptides, so if you
right.
combine those peptides with this gut and you take it with your probiotics, it actually can kill H. pylori naturally without
Wow.
those very heavy treatments with the antibiotics, with those high dose and such. Pain, all the opioids and stuff, if you can treat it with the cells or blood derived factors or something that completely of the natural source. So you understand where you're
Yeah.
standing in front of what gonna expect us in the next decade. I'm very fascinated. I'm where
That's
we are, and I'm lucky, and I appreciate thanks God and everything that I'm have this opportunity to be in this field and still years, hopefully,
that's
to
it's
develop and address the problems to make this medicine of today and tomorrow a bit different, more efficient and friendly to the people.
no, I think like using biology to bring solution, because biology has billions of years of evolutionary forces behind it, and to leverage that nature's intelligence to find solution, like what we have seen in CRISPR-Cas9 genetic engineering
Oh yeah,
technology, right? Which is defense system of bacteria. We learned how they break the invaders' genetic material, and we figured out how to repurpose that nature's defense system to solve other human disease challenges. So it's really inspiring. Like there's so much to explore, taking advantage of this billions of years of evolutionary forces in biological system locked somewhere that future founders need to find a way to unlock it and solve more problems.
yeah, I agree.
Nathan,
Absolutely.
really inspiring, very inspiring journey. And thank you so much for joining and sharing
Sure.
all the behind the scene experiences.
Okay. You're welcome. You're
Thank you so
welcome.
much. Talk
Of
to you
course.
soon. Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.